Welcome back to Parent Squad. As parents, we all want to think that our kids are the smartest, most talented, and just the overall best. But as we also know, there are a lot of truly exceptional kids out there. So how can we help set our kids apart in ways that truly matter? Here to help us break this conversation down is Indianapolis Moms contributor and mom of 8, Amanda Hauser. Of course, we love it when you're here.
I love being here.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's break this down. It's just the fact that there will always be someone better, and that's okay. But you know, as moms, we like to shower our kids with love. How do we create this balance for ourselves, really for our kids? How do we create this balance for them?
You know, we're in graduation season right now, so we're attending these ceremonies and hearing all these accolades of these amazing humans, and you're like, how are these parents doing this with these kids, right? And so I want to completely shift the mindset for the parent at this point. Instead of looking at the collection of trophies and the certificates and the accomplishments that way, let's shift to readiness over resume. So instead of a list of accomplishments, let's make sure our kids are ready to enter into this world.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And it kind of shifts your focus on not, okay, whatever I have to do to push you over the finish line for XYZ. No, are you a good person? Are you disciplined? Are you respectful? Do you have the skill set to get you to the finish line? Because then they can get themselves to the finish line, which is ultimately what we want as parents, for our kids to be able to go out there in the world.
And you know, you want your kid to be that kid that the teachers are talking about in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Like they're in the teacher's lounge like, oh, can you believe that Felicia?
Yeah,
you know,
we
like,
pray so, right?
You know, you want your child to be that friend that everybody wants their child to be friends with. You know, that's the child that is really going to, in adulthood, those are going to be your leaders, your CEOs, the people who are mentoring and guiding other people. That's where you're going to find lifelong success in those softer skills we're going to talk about.
Okay. Well, you say it's not always the obvious things that can really set kids apart, like the academics, like the sports, the resume we just talked about. Soft skills, they make the difference. So when you say soft skills, let's talk about what we mean. And also, you know, we got to talk about why they kind of get a bad rep. They don't always get the most respect they should, I guess we should say.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you think of some skills like being able to pick up a baseball bat and swing it and hit a home run.
Nail it, or you got the quarterback kid.
Right. Beautiful handwriting.
Yes.
You know, you get an A+ on the test. Those are like kind of quantifiable, measurable things. A soft skill's a little harder to put your finger on. In the world of education, those are our social emotional skills a lot of the times, the ones that you can't necessarily package really neatly, like you can a skill like hitting a baseball or speaking a foreign language.
Yes, but we know they're just as important.
More important.
Okay, so one of them being self-awareness, another one being social awareness, being able to read the room, being aware of yourself, how you fit into a group, but socially how you fit into the group as well.
Right, so the art of setting your kids apart. If you think about, let's start with, I think you said self-awareness was the first one. So being able to recognize, I have these feelings, I am not these feelings, but I can respond in a way now that I have words to put with these. So we're giving our kids language. Without language, we only have behavior. So if you want that child who can stay regulated when things do not go their way, then we need to really focus on, as a parent, we're focusing on regulation over behavior. Yes, we want to teach behaviors, but the motivation is entirely different. I am intrinsically motivated to feel good. I don't want to feel rotten during the day. I don't want to feel frustrated or overwhelmed. So I'm intrinsically motivated to have strategies to calm myself when I am in there. Extrinsic motivation is behavior. I'm going to do this because mom says I have to, right? So if mom's not there, are you going to do the behavior?
Yeah, the motivation
is different. So we really need to teach our kids that intrinsic motivation of self-regulation. So that's self-regulation, self-awareness. Social awareness it's your read the room radar. Those are your kids who who fit in everywhere. You know, they never have a problem because they're able to walk into a room. They're going to do some noticing. They're going to adapt. They're going to interpret. They're going to empathize if they need to. They're able to notice, like if they walk into a more serious or somber setting, they're going to lower their tone. They're going to adjust their nonverbals. They're going to put their phone in their pocket. They're going to put it away. Adults notice those things, but they have to be intentionally taught. So how do we do that as a parent? How do you intentionally teach those skills? It's a whole lot of modeling. We have to show them we're putting our phone away.
Okay, modeling.
When we sit down at the table. But it can also be things like teaching your kids to seek to understand, to really use a lot of that noticing language. Like, oh, did you notice Felicia really, her shoulders were so, her shoulders were so high. Like she was so proud. I wonder why she's proud. We should congratulate her or seek to understand what she's so proud about. Flip side, noticing the child who's by themselves on the playground. Would your child notice the child that's alone on the playground? And what would they do about that? And our kids need to be taught those skills. They're not necessarily inherent. So we can ask open-ended questions. We can give feeling language. And we can also be the ones who say, look, oh, did you notice that mom? She was having such a hard time at the grocery store. We should go hold the door for her.
Yeah.
Model that.
Yeah.
Narrate what you're seeing.
Lend an encouraging word.
Right. Narrate what you're seeing in the world and how it can respond to increase that social awareness for our children. It's like, have you ever been on a road trip and you're cruising along in the passing lane and you've got your cruise control set and then you come up behind somebody who's going 50 and doesn't get over because they're like so socially unaware. They have never taken the time to like look in the rear view, look in their side mirrors. We don't want our kids to be never looking in their mirrors. So if we want our kids to be looking in the mirrors, we have to teach them what that awareness is by modeling and giving them the language.
We always say it here, friends. You lead from the front, parents. Lead from the front.
Yep.
Okay, a couple other ones. Self-management and relationship skills.
You got it. Okay, so self-management kind of goes two ways. We've talked about the feelings part of it, right? The ones who can take a beat before responding. So they're responding instead of acting. I'm super happy. I would really love to jump up and down, but it might really offend the teacher if I did that right now, so I'm going to take a beat. Or I'm really frustrated and I really want to pound my fist on this desk. I'm going to take a beat. I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to move on. It's also those kids who we think about time management, like you're actually able to manage your time and your energy. These are the kids who are going to show up, grind it out, and not ask for praise for doing the ordinary stuff, right? So these are kids who may really, really thrive if you're trying to support this in the home. Come to an agreement with them. Like, let's have an agreement. Homework is really important. Would you agree that homework is really important?
I would agree.
Okay. Would you agree that you also love to be on your tablet and technology is fun for you?
Okay, Mom.
Yeah, right? Okay, so we're going to come to an agreement. The agreement is homework is always first, and then you may have an hour of tablet time. So we have created a structure within that for that child to work within. Then we can coach and support. If they fail, we're not blaming, we're not shaming. We can come alongside and coach them. Wow, you really had an agreement with me. And to honor that agreement, I see that your homework's not done. Has something changed? Okay, well, then let's get back to it.
I just love how you worded that, because you're putting the onus essentially back on the child, and you're calling them to be accountable and responsible versus you yelling at them and saying, you didn't do what I said do. That is so different. It's all on you at that point.
Right back to that motivation, right? We have to teach our kids that intrinsic, because we're not going to be with them all the time. So we need to give them practice on those skills of like, if mom's not sitting beside me, what am I doing?
Yes.
And I need to be intrinsically motivated to do that, not extrinsically.
Okay, we're getting deep here. All right, did we talk about relationship skills?
No, a little bit. But my quick pointer for this one, we all notice the kids who are able to have eye contact, who can shake a hand appropriately, who take off a hat when they enter a building, who hold a door for somebody. Kids who are able to have a conversation, that is taught. They don't come out of the womb. knowing those skills. So we are right back to modeling.
And that is so necessary.
So necessary. And it is really a huge differentiator. You know, you think about kids who are going into interviews for college placement.
Oh my gosh. And everyone with these phones and this text messaging,
Right.
or knowing how to date, to ask a girl or a guy out on a date. I mean, oh my gosh, it's not
Right.
good right now.
So if you have a younger child, start with this. Have them order for themselves at the restaurant.
Absolutely.
They need to look the server in the eye. They need to speak clearly and ask for the order. They need to thank the server. They need to put their napkin in their lap. Start with the basics.
Okay, you got to teach them. And then responsible decision making. We touched on that a little bit already.
Right, so this is where you're putting in the legwork every single day. We want our children to, when peer pressure knocks on the door, we want them to be prepared, right?
Yes.
We want these skills to show up. We want them to have the strength and the foresight to walk away. So how do we do that? We need them to base their decisions on their values and on their morals, on the safety of the situation and their environment. So one really quick game that you can play is called like the why ladder, like WHY. So let's hypothesize. Okay, you're going to this party tonight. What if somebody shows up and they've brought a case of beer with them? What are we going to do in that situation? Let your child answer. And then
As a parent, I know what I'd do, but what would you do?
What would you do? Let's play this out. Okay, well, what would you do? And then follow that up with, well, why? How does that align with how we feel as a family? Does that align with our morals? Does it align with our agreements that we have between you and I? Does it align with our values?
Yeah.
Is that a safe situation? So when you play the why ladder, it's not just because I said so and your fanny's gonna be in a huge amount of trouble if you are at a party and alcohol shows up, right? It doesn't align with who I am as an individual. Intrinsic motivation.
I love it. I love it.
Teach it before you need it, because
Teach it before you need it.
It's not going to happen in the moment. You have to teach it before you need it.
I'm like so hyped and excited because we are teaching our kids to be individuals, to think for themselves, to be responsible and accountable for themselves and to the family, to each other. That's what we're teaching our kids, not just do as I say so, or, do what I said, or, that was wrong. No, we're teaching them to think and be able to make these decisions, empowering them essentially to move in the right direction.
Absolutely.
I love it. Amanda, thank you. We certainly
welcome.
appreciate it. If you want to read her blog, she's always talking about topics like this and trying to arm you and help you prepare you to be the best parent possible. We have a link at WTHR.com/Parent Squad, which you can hear more from Amanda there. Still ahead, we have some simple ways to create music at home. No fancy instruments needed. We're going to walk you through it.